We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, and a ton of stimulus news for more stimulus payments that are going to be sent to President Biden sooner than we expect. First of all, folks, Congress is beginning big negotiations this week. Huge negotiations, huge talks about the stimulus, huge talks about what Joe Biden's going to do about the fourth stimulus payment and Social Security benefits. What I want to say is that Congress beginning big negotiations this week. The House Republican leader and Stephen Scalise sidestepped thorny questions today on whether he would allow Congress to default on its debt. This came after lawmakers adopted new rules, making it more difficult to raise federal limits. And not only this, but the U.S. is perilously close to hitting its debt ceiling of about $30 trillion. The legal limit set by Congress of how much the Fed can borrow. It includes the total amount of federal debt outstanding. About $25 trillion of this, as well as a nearly $6.9 trillion of this from the Fed, has borrowed from itself. If Congress doesn't do something about this, well, it's going to cause a default on the Treasury bonds, an unprecedented event that would plunge the nation into financial crisis. Even Representative Scalise said at a press conference in the Capitol building that America over time occasionally hits the debt ceiling because it's like a credit card limit. And if you're going to ask for an increase in the limit, at some point in time, you've got to sit down and say, why are we hitting the limit? Yeah, so what he's saying is that it will be much more difficult for lawmakers to raise debt limit under new Congress since just McCarthy agreed to a new rules package that requires any increases in the debt limit to be paired with spending cuts. It was one of several concessions he made to win support from a group of Republicans that had been blocking his speakership. The debt ceiling debate is already raising questions on Wall Street and citing McCarthy's hard-fought battle in 15 rounds of voting. Well, Goldman Sachs economists cite the rules changes as cause for concern whether Congress will lift the debt ceiling at all. The U.S. last raised the debt ceiling in December by $2.5 trillion. The increase is expected to last until at least July 2023. And according to experts, lifting the debt ceiling, well, it doesn't authorize any new spending. It will allow the government to just borrow more and more money from the people and steal. Pretty much. And since the Fed is already consistently spending more than it does in tax revenue, well, lawmakers have to periodically raise the debt ceiling. Failing to lift the debt ceiling could lead to a government default on its debt and pretty much stop all the daily operations, causing potential turmoil to markets and even the economy. The last major rift from the debt ceiling was in late 2011. Driven by the holdout from the Republicans' majority in the immediate term, defaulting on the debt could delay Social Security and Medicare benefits, salaries for government employees, military personnel, and even contractors, as well as other spending negotiators, because the Biden administration is already building on a strategy to deploy under the midterm election season, in which it talks from a multiple GOP congressional lawmakers on how to. And strategists in the White House officials have believed that the possibility of Republicans holding that ceiling hostage in exchange for the spending cuts is both economically disastrous and a political loser for the GOP. The looming fight over the spending cuts in many ways is a repeat of the messaging battle that unfolded ahead of the November midterms. Joe Biden warned that the closing weeks of campaign, popular programs like Medicare and Social Security are at risk of GOP majorities stopping this. Republicans, meanwhile, sought to argue that government spending should be reined in without outright committing to cutting entitlement programs. Yes, stimulus can be on the way if Joe Biden does something quick to stop this.
We made a decision, and the justices participated. They don't ride circuit anymore. They, in fact, do the opposite. District judges sit on the appellate court from time to time. And so, as Dusty said, every justice, and for that matter, judges of all stripes, who have looked at this have said, we helped with Congress's acquiescence, create a system that works extremely well, and it's not about the Supreme Court. It's about 700 judges, not including all the other...
The long answer is the Social Security Act doesn't allow the agency to use money for administrative work not connected to its main mission. So they couldn't get the IRS the information it needed to send out checks. But thanks to some legal wrangling, that's been worked out. One group left out of this good news, VA beneficiaries. The IRS says it's continuing to review data it has on people who get veterans benefits but don't file a tax return. The IRS does.
Folks, there is an updated list of states that are about to send out a fourth check this month, and the lawmakers in many places like Illinois, Pennsylvania, and even New Jersey have released programs that are providing millions of dollars to thousands of low-income residents. So the several arrival dates for these payments have been confirmed and just announced. I'll be revealing these details in this video. Stimulus payments are back. Although the crisis has become more bearable, Americans are still dealing with a tough financial crisis to deal with. CNBC reports about 62% of workers across the country live paycheck to paycheck. It has led to many state governors to agree to send out bonus checks to the residents. It includes people in places like New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Rhode Island. For instance, New Jersey is offering another program to give communities stimulus money and to help the people out. Now, if this applies to you, you must file an application with the state's Division of Taxation by December 30th. Payments will go out in the spring, and families can expect to receive a child rebate in the state of Rhode Island. The program provides a rebate of $250 per child for up to 3 children, or $750 per family. To be eligible, you must be a resident for all of 2021, and children must be 18 years or older to qualify for this check. Now, if you're $100,000 as an individual, you'll get the payment as well. Now, people say in the state that the checks were mailed out early in October last month, and for those that filed a 2021 tax return, you should have gotten yours by the middle of this month. So, in addition to this low-income stimulus money, Pennsylvania low-income homeowners and renters are getting some bigger financial relief. Most checks will be capped at $650, though some homeowners will see a boost of $970 based on age, widow, or even widower status and disabilities. There's also news for the Delaware residents. State officials have said you must be able to send in an application through the end of this year in order to get the $900. You can also get a $300 one-time check. To receive the money, you must be a resident of Delaware by the end of this year. In addition, you have to apply for it. The deadline to apply for it, though, is towards the end of this month, so make sure you get your money fast. Nancy Pelosi also said that she will address her future plans this week. A spokesperson for Pelosi said that Nancy Pelosi has been overwhelmed by calls from colleagues and supporters. The speaker plans to address her future plans tomorrow. So, I hear that Nancy Pelosi is retiring, but it still means one thing: stimulus is still necessary. Speculations over Nancy Pelosi's future has intensified in the aftermath of the midterms. Now, some people in Washington say that she can send out more stimulus money before the end of her career, so hopefully she will do this. Now, CNN did project that Republicans are going to take control this January through a smaller margin than they hoped for. Pelosi said in a separate statement that the House had defied expectations in midterms and didn't mention any of other future plans. The longtime Democratic leader told CNN that members of her caucus had asked her to reconsider running in the party's leadership elections at the end of the month, and Pelosi is an important figure in American politics with a history-making legacy as the first and so far only woman to be the Speaker of the House. Do you support Nancy Pelosi and her move on stimulus, everybody? Tell me in the comments.